Welcome to the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit.
It's the big guy. Get in here.
And today, it's Wise Wednesday.
You're so wise. You're like a miniature Buddha covered in hair.
Giving you the smartest financial advice in every aspect of your financial life.
You're so money you don't even know it.
And now, the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit on ESPN Radio 1700.
Hey, it's your tomorrow. Come on, it's everything. It's that magic moment. Do it right here and now.
Welcome. It is that time. It's Wise Wednesday on Mr. Credit Radio Show on 1700 ESPN. It's JJ in the hot seat today, Synergy One Lending, and I am grateful to be in the studio today with one of my favorite people that likes to come in, and we love to have her here. Faye Hines, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you, JJ. It's nice to be here as always.
Well, you're going to make everybody a little bit wiser today. I know that because you have many years' experience in the real estate game. We also have Jeffrey Kahn, who will be calling in. And regretfully, he won't be able to be in the studio, but he will join us a little bit later in the studio. And always nice that he can take the time to bring us his expertise. Let's get to a quick market update. The market's been kind of all over the place recently, and it's climbing back up. It was, we touched 17,000 in the Dow. Over that, we kind of came plummeting down a little bit, and now we're slowly making that trek back up. We have green on the board today. The nice thing, if you are in the interest rate market for mortgages, the treasuries are holding up quite well. We've gained a little bit of ground there, and mortgage-backed securities are holding up as well. But I'll tell you, as I say over and over, don't get greedy in this stage of the game. If you're in escrow, you're refinancing, just be happy with where rates are. I mean, your escrow is probably not more than 30 days, 45 days, could be 60 days if it was a long one. And you don't see too many of those out there right now because people aren't really writing those long contracts.
Right.
But just move on with other things. There's we're going to get past the sad part, Faye, fast. We'll get past it here, and it is sad. And I just want to touch on it because I'm going to try to turn it into something else today. Robin Williams, definitely a tragedy. It is. It's tragic. I mean, I watched him growing up all the way back to the Happy Days, Mork and Mindy. Really just a funny guy and somebody that puts a smile on a lot of people's faces. And it's just sad. It's just sad because you think somebody like that, he's got everything, right? He's got a home on the market right now, a $30 million estate, beautiful estate that's for sale. It's been for sale. And here's a guy that's got, all the money in the world that one could really ask for. Kids, seem like great kids, wife, family, and just a happy guy. But, deep inside there, that the guy wasn't so happy. And I think, with every tragedy, you got to take something of value out of it for everybody. And this is one of those cases where, when somebody is famous, they're there to teach other people. And we just have to learn. We have to learn from this. So, for me, and 2020 had a really good story on last night. Barbara Walters was on there. And I was just working at my laptop on my lap. It was kind of in the background as I was listening to this. But it was kind of just, going through it. And there were some, Diane Sawyer did an interview with Robin Williams right after he had gotten out of a rehab in 2006, I think. And a guy, here's a guy that's got everything, battled with drugs and addiction. But the other underlying thing is that he really battled from depression. And maybe it's even bipolarism. I mean,
Yeah, who really knows the basis of all of that? But I think you're right. What we need to take away from this is not only all the joy he brought everyone, but an awareness of what can happen when you don't feel you're enough. And I think that this is a classic case because there's that big black hole. and his addictions and his depression all say he did not believe he was enough.
And that's crazy.
And that's, yeah, and that is. It's crazy to the onlookers, but it's certainly something that if any of these listeners or anyone they know feels that there's somebody in their life that has any indication of that, it's going to be reflected in drugs, in alcohol, in depression, in whatever. And sometimes it's a disease that's very apparent. Other times it can be less evident and more serious.
Yeah, definitely.
Because those people are the ones that are not getting the help necessary.
Yeah.
And teenagers.
Well, I think in today's day and age, right now, we live in a world where it's driven by social media. We were talking about this a little bit before the show. Everything's put out there. Everything's put out there instantly. Glamour shots all day long of how great everything is, posing. And those are just snapshots. They're snippets.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
If you're looking to somebody else's life and you think that that's what you want, just, look backward, look in your own life and find the good, because we all have good in our life.
Absolutely.
And you are good enough the way you are. Everybody can improve. Everybody can learn more. Strive for greater things. But you have to be happy with yourself and be positive. You have to be positive. You have to, on a day in and day out basis, find something good every day, because life's great.
It sure is.
We live in a wonderful world.
Freedom. We have everything in this country. We are provided for by one another, by our freedoms. And I know there's a lot of tough things going on.
There are.
And particularly around the world with war and famine. I mean, it could go on all day. But if we concentrate on those things instead of the things that are positive, that can be disturbing as well. For lots of people.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I think you're right, JJ. We need to take a valued lesson from the tragedy we experienced this week.
Yeah, I agree. And celebrate the life of Robin. And, the nice thing is, he's going to be with us forever. Right?
Oh, I can still hear him laugh.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
and there's movies that are coming out.
So much joy. Yeah,
so much joy. But if you do know somebody, or if you're feeling that way yourself, and you're just not feeling right, get help. I mean, help's out there. And I think people sometimes are afraid because they just don't.
Labeling.
They're afraid of what people are going to think. And you can't be that way because it's so serious. I've seen it personally. My wife lived with somebody, and one of the happiest girls that I had ever met. I mean, just a joyful girl, but suffering inside, and took her own life as well. And it's just sad, and it doesn't have to be that way, because there are people out there that can help you through it. So let's take this, take something from it, learn something from it. Because if we don't learn as a society, then it's all for naught.
That's right. Absolutely.
Right.
It's an honoring aspect, in my opinion, to Robin Williams to become very aware.
Yeah.
Of our own community, within the community, within your family. That's the greatest honor you can give him, is to have value.
Yeah.
From his unfortunate situation.
Definitely. And I'll tell you, if you're out there and you're listening and you don't know who to turn to, you can always turn to us. You can turn to the radio show right here. You can send me an email. Just go to askjjnow.com. Send me an email. Give me a call. I'll talk to you. I'll find the help that you need. We'll work through it together, because I don't want to see anything like this. I don't want to hear about it anymore. And it will continue to happen. It will. But you don't let it happen to you or somebody that you love or somebody that you know. Just don't. It's not called for. So let's let's move to something a little bit more. I don't know. It's interesting, Faye, because the couple other things that, I'm going to talk about aren't super positive, but, one of them is just disturbing to me. And this is something, we're in a financial world here. And it's interesting because the economy is supposedly getting better. People are getting jobs. And at a certain point in time, you have to think about retirement and you have to think about what to do with your money. And I came across this story, and it was very disturbing to me, because you never know who you can trust with your money, but you got to do the research. You have to do the research. So this is a story on CNN, and there's a couple people. It's a father and a son, but the former deputy dean of MIT's business school and his son, who was a Harvard MBA. They both pleaded guilty on Tuesday to operating a $500 million hedge fund scam. And basically, they just lied to people where the money was going. They basically said that they were using, research that was done at MIT to have a complex trading model to have people make money. And a lot of the money was actually going to Bernie Madoff. And so that money was gone and lost. But here's the thing that is sad at the end of it, is that the father said a person with the experience and knowledge of the financial sector and a veteran professor of MIT should not have engaged in this type of behavior. And it's true. You shouldn't. It's just amazing that they lost more than $140 million of people's money. I mean, these are people that have worked hard. So, maybe not everybody worked hard to get the money.
No, but there was an awful lot of individuals that, were just flat scammed. It's interesting when you say, JJ, that it's about the people involved in this that you put trust in. And the higher the rung on the ladder, the more trust we have in those people to manage your money, to whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that as sad as that is, probably the thing that's so sad to me too is that in this day and age where we have the ability to check out almost anything, to have the blind faith to allow something like this to happen, and it happens day in and day out, and it's not generational.
Yeah.
It's not just older people that perhaps don't have the ability to do appropriate research.
Yeah.
It's a faith trust issue, and shame on them.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. And I'll tell you, years ago, and I was very young, in my early 20s, I was scammed. A guy in a turkey business, yeah. And it was only $3,000, but this is...
turkey.
That turkey, right? And it's amazing because here's a guy that I saw almost on a daily basis, and he scammed myself and a business partner of mine. And it was a complex turkey selling business, but it was a Ponzi scheme. It was his own little Ponzi scheme. So that it happens to the best of us, and I admit that because I want you to know that it does. It does. You just never know, but you got to be careful with your money. When we come back, I have another. This is a very disturbing actual article that we're going to talk about, but it involves the IRS, who typically for a lot of us, they're not our friends anyways, but what they're doing, you need to know about. And we're here to bring you stuff that you may not know about and make you a little bit wiser on this Wednesday. We have Faye Hines in the studio today, one of my most favorite realtors in San Diego County. Jeffrey Kahn's going to be calling in with the law offices of Jeffrey Kahn when we come back. It's your lunch hour, 1700 ESPN.
If you would like free advice from Mr. Credit, just call or text 619-786-7853. That's 619-786-7853.
Welcome back to the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit. And today, it's Wise Wednesday on ESPN Radio 1700.
Welcome back. It is Wise Wednesday on the Mr. Credit Show. We are here to make you smarter than everybody else. It is JJ with Synergy One Lending running the show today on this beautiful Wednesday in San Diego. And I'm hoping that Mr. Jeffrey Kahn, our board-certified tax attorney, is on the line. Jeff, are you there?
I am here, JJ.
That's what
I am happy to say that I am not on the dark side here in LA.
Good. That's what I that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. That's Jeffrey Kahn, our board certified tax attorney. I want to give you this information. I mean, Jeff's been with the show now for quite some time. He's with the law offices of Jeffrey Kahn, and will provide you with a tax resolution plan for Mr. Credit listeners. It's a $500 value, and he'll do it for free. As long as you mention Mr. Credit, you got to mention Mr. Credit when you call to make an appointment. You will be meeting with the Mr. Jeffrey Kahn right here in downtown San Diego. I'm going to give you the number right now, because what you'll listen to hear him say, you will want to call if you have any of these issues. His number is 866-494-6829. It's 866-494-6829. Now, Jeff, I got to tell you, ran across this pretty disturbing article, and at a certain point in time, we are going to turn the show positive. This article is not so positive, but it's about the IRS. It was in the Wall Street Journal, and it's quite disturbing what they are doing out there that people probably have no idea.
That's true.
I mean,
absolutely true.
Yeah, I mean, in this article, it's basically saying that the IRS can basically do whatever the heck they want to do, including, and this is going back, I mean, we're going back to 1989. It was using 900 controlled informants, double agents out there. They have undercover operations. 40 of, in this article, it says 40 of these 900 informants were actually accountants that people are putting their trust in.
Wow.
Yeah, posing themselves as accountants.
Yeah. So, you're going to what you think is an accountant, and they're just double agents.
Right.
So, they're doing illegal seizures of documentation. And do you see, you're in the law side of dealing with the IRS. Do you see these cases? Do you see these things happening out there?
I do see these things happening. The IRS is a government agency, so it's like any other government agency. They have rules to enforce, laws to enforce. They're going to suspect people are breaking these rules and laws, and they're going to be looking to ultimately prosecute them. Sometimes they're entrapping, good citizens into making the wrong decisions and doing something not just wrong, but doing something that's illegal. Other times they're looking to find people who know that they're doing something illegal, and it's a matter of the government, the police function of the government, to catch them and bring them to justice.
Mm-hmm. But is this the right way to bring people to justice? We're talking about taxes here. We're not talking about killing people. We're talking about taxes. Is this the right way to go about it?
A crime is still a crime. It doesn't matter whether you kill somebody or you cheat on your taxes. Either way, it's still a crime. And the government basically got to, put their stick in the stand and say, we're going to go ahead and enforce the law. And if the law says that you knowingly, willfully filed a false income tax return, to understate your liability, well, that's a crime. And we're going to go after you on that.
Yeah, I mean, I see the point. I just don't know if what they're doing is the right way to do it. I mean, to put out the undercover operations, the informants, the illegal seizures. I mean, that's what really got me kind of fired up in this thing. I mean, and we're going back some time here, but since 1980, the number of levies that the seizures of bank accounts and paychecks has increased fourfold, reaching 3.3 million. And this is in 1992. But here's the problem with it. Unfortunately, the IRS makes tens of thousands of unjustified seizures every year. And this is according to the General Accounting Office. I mean, so they're doing these, but they're not getting it right.
And that's still happening, and it's even just happening on a more frequent basis, because on these levies, basically it's not even a human being that's involved in doing the levy. A lot of the time, it's the IRS computers, where they're just scouring through, taxpayer accounts, seeing that there's a balance due, spitting out a series of really nasty, intimidating notices. And when the IRS is not getting a response, the computers just automatically going ahead and issuing notices of levy to banks, to employers, to third parties that are supposed to be paying you income, and instead the IRS is saying, you pay us.
That's crazy too. I mean, it's crazy to me. It really is, because it starts destroying people's lives. I mean, let's say single mom, she's got to care for her kids, and she just doesn't know what she's doing on her taxes. And she's doing them herself. She's using TurboTax, whatever the case may be. She files her taxes. She gets it wrong. She gets it wrong every year. Years go by. All of a sudden, the IRS comes, and she just might be a small little potato, but they levy her paycheck. And now she can't put food on the table. I mean, is this the right way to go about it? I mean, Jeff, what I need to know is, how can we protect ourselves? Jeffrey? Did we lose you? Oh, well, we will get Jeffrey back on the line here on the Mr. Credit Show. And I want to tell you, Jeff's been with the Mr. Credit Show for quite some time. He's with the law. He covers a lot of ground, too. He's up in Northern California, all through California, all the way down here into San Diego. And he has put out this special offer for our listeners of the Mr. Credit Show. So if you need his services, and I know there's people out there that do, if you get a notice from the IRS, you owe the IRS money, Jeffrey can take care of a lot of different things. Okay. Jeff, are you back on?
I am back on. All right. I lost you.
Oh, hey, that's it's probably the IRS. I hate to say it, but they're probably listening and they're shutting you down, buddy.
Oh yeah. Who knows? But the big thing on those illegal seizures is, and it's not necessarily illegal. The IRS is following the law, and they can be very aggressive under the law because the law allows them to do that. The problem, though, is a lot of those seizures are erroneous, because the IRS is acting on a higher liability that they say a taxpayer owes than what a taxpayer's real liability is.
Right.
And that's very common when taxpayers don't file their tax returns. IRS files a tax return for you. I'm telling you, the liability in those cases is always higher than if you filed your own tax return. But with the IRS, hey, they filed a tax return for you. This is the liability they came up with. It's good to go to collect.
That's amazing.
Every single cent of it.
That is amazing. So how can we as the people protect ourselves, Jeff?
Well, the important thing is, if you've got IRS problems, you owe the IRS is after you need to contact somebody like me. I've got the experience. I've got the expertise. I know what needs to be done in order to solve your problem with the IRS as quick and as at little cost as possible.
Well, and you deal with this all the time. This is what you do. You do it all throughout California. You're up and down the coast all the time. You deal with the small problems, the big problems. If you've gotten a notice in the mail that you owe them or owe money, or you're the IRS is planning on levying a paycheck or a bank account, these people need to call you, correct?
That's right. That's right. Because the bottom line is, it's your problem. So forget about the other guy. Forget about whether the number's large, the number's small. It's your problem. It's your tax problem. You need it to be resolved. I'm the guy to get it solved.
Well, Jeff, I appreciate you taking the time to call in today. Sorry we lost you for a brief moment. During that moment, I was just giving our listeners your special deal. It's a $500 value for free. You got to mention Mr. Credit. You heard Jeffrey on the Mr. Credit Show when you called to make an appointment. He'll come right down here to San Diego. He's all over the coast here, but he'll come right down to San Diego to meet you. And the number to call, once again, is 866-494-6829. It's 866-494-6829. You can find Jeffrey Kahn online at KahnTaxLaw.com. And if you have a problem with the IRS, don't let it go. Just don't bury your head in the sand. Call Jeffrey today so it can be resolved. Jeffrey, thank you for taking the time out of your busy day. I know it's a busy one out there for you. You go get the IRS for us all, and we'll talk to you soon.
I sure will. Thanks, JJ.
All right, thank you. When we come back on the other side of this break, we're going to jump into the real estate market. We have Faye Hines, ERA Property Movers, in the studio today. It's your lunch hour, 1700 ESPN.
If you would like free advice from Mr. Credit, just call or text 619-786-7853. That's 619-786-7853.
Welcome back to the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit. And today, it's Wise Wednesday on ESPN Radio 1700.
40 years.
Welcome back. It is your lunch hour. It's Wise Wednesday today. JJ John Girotes in the hot seat. AskJJNow.com. If you have any questions, you want to get in touch with Jeff Kahn, who was just on the line and you didn't get a chance to write his number down, just go to AskJJNow.com. If you want to talk to Faye Hines. And Faye, it's always great to have you in the studio. And one reason why I love it is because you have years of experience in this business and you've seen it all. I mean, you've been through it. And it just, you can't get the experience without, putting in the time. So always appreciate you taking your time to come in here. One thing that is a hot topic right now, and I'm curious what your opinion is on this, is interest rates. What are interest rates going to do? Where are they going to go? Where are they right now? And I'll tell you, I mean, we've been very, very fortunate this year, especially since March or so. It's hard to look back. Last year, we had the big bump up in interest rates in the middle of the year, right in the summer months, right as the real estate market was just on fire anyways last year, just hot as can be. And I'm not talking about wildfires. I'm talking about put a house on the market and boom, it's gone. Interest rates go up. It continues that on fire trend, probably because people were scared because now interest rates are going up. We get through the end of the year. And now we're in 2014, and they've kind of settled down a little bit.
Okay, it's very interesting. I don't know how you feel about this, JJ, but I'll make this statement. You folks who've been out there sitting on the fence for a while, I can tell you, we are like a year overdue.
Yes.
I'm sure you agree with that statement. We should have had a rise in interest rates long before now.
Yeah.
I mean, we really are working on borrowed time. And if you look at all the stats, it's really a true statement. Interest rates, mark my words, interest rates are going to go up. You would agree with that?
Without a doubt. Faye,
yeah.
I mean, it's...
and we're so overdue. We're so overdue.
Yeah, it's like a pressure cooker.
It is a pressure cooker. And there's lots of, we could talk for hours as it relates to what's going on with the economy and how our economy is no longer regional or no longer North America. We've got a global tragedy at every corner. I mean, whether it's Ebola or whether it's, the Ukraine or Israel, or I mean, we have so many things that are affecting our market, and it affects our economy,
Yes.
and it affects our daily lives. As it relates to interest rates in the real estate market as a whole, the issues are really a little more simple than all of the combined effects, because it's always a balance.
Yep.
It's supply and demand that makes the market. More homes on the market has its influence. Fewer homes on the market, like we had last year, has its influence. And the interest rate is only a part of that. So you fence sitters, I'll just say this. If you have the luxury of even deciding when to do most of these things, I think your sitting days are over.
Yeah.
The other issue is that most of the market is affected by the fact that most people don't have choices as it relates to job change, births, deaths, need more room, need less room, older, going into your silver years, so to speak, with way too much overhead in a bigger home, too many children in a small apartment. I mean, you can talk about rent versus purchasing. There's just a myriad of things. But the bottom line is that interest rates should not be the only thing that is being looked at. And when you need to make a move, you should make it.
Well, yeah, and the interest rates are going to be what they are at that
That's
particular
right.
time.
And the market's going to reflect that. Let's say interest rates just took a gigantic bump.
Let's talk about that. What if they do?
Okay.
What's going to happen to the market?
Well, not a whole lot.
You think it'll just have very little effect?
It will have both effects. It will have a little bump, perhaps, but the long run of that is that buyers should be aware that that will also create the fear, if I can use the term. It will also create its own market for the fact that if they do go up, people are aware they're going up. I mean, they're not believing me. They're not believing you.
They have to see.
So if they see a little bump in the market, that could cause actually a little more push in the market.
Well, and I think we saw this last year.
Absolutely.
I mean, last year was a really good example.
Yeah, it went up a whole point in one day.
Yeah.
And it had very little effect on the market.
It did. If anything, the
pushed
inventory
it.
levels
That's right.
dropped because everybody flew to the market to get into escrow.
That's
Yeah.
right. So it could help the balance in, right now we have an abundance of inventory.
Okay. Do you know what the number is? I mean, are we still over 8,000 homes for sale?
I believe that. Yes, it is still. It's right at about that.
Okay. So, I mean, that might be, what, a 3-4 month supply?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's certainly not a scarcity in the market.
Yeah.
The other thing that's sort of interesting is not only interest rates going up, but the housing market. Even though we've got more days on market, and I'm talking to you sellers right now, you have to understand when you put your house on the market today, you're going to have more days on market because of your competition. That doesn't mean you're not going to get your price, but you're going to have to be more patient because you've got competition in the market and you've got those fence sitters.
Yes. Yes.
And they have more options. So guess what? They're going to take more time. And some of them are going to get caught in this interest rate situation. But for the most part, it's all going to balance. If you need to buy today. If you need to sell, get your house on the market. But it's not going to sell in 18 days.
Yeah.
Average time. We're pushing on 60 and 70 in some markets as far as days on market are concerned. So there's nothing more constant than change.
Yeah. Well, and that's what the world is. We're always in a flux of
Absolutely.
change. That's Faye Hines with ERA Property Movers, theheinsteam.com. And I'm going to give you out your number right now, Faye, if that's
Thank
okay.
you.
I think it is. 760-533-9974. It's 760-533-9974. If you are in the market of buying or selling and you really want to work with somebody that has, I'm telling you, just the expertise of expertise, it comes from experience. I mean, just, that's the only way to say it. A wealth of knowledge that Faye can offer you as a buyer and as a seller. Reach out today, theheinsteam.com. And we're going to take a break right now, Faye. When we come back, we're going to continue this trend. And the nice thing is you have a property that's coming to market. And there's nothing more than I like talking about than properties that they're not on the market today. They're coming to the market. And this is a special property. It's not
Very
only
special.
historic, but there's another level to it that we'll talk about when we come back at your lunch hour, 1700 ESPN.
If you would like free advice from Mr. Credit, just call or text 619-786-7853. That's 619-786-7853.
Welcome back to the Lunch Hour with Mr. Credit. And today, it's Wise Wednesday on ESPN Radio 1700.
Welcome back. We are having fun in the studio today on the Mr. Credit Show. It's John Giroux, JJ with Faye Hines. And we have a property to sell right now. And I know, Faye, that we have a lot of investors that listen to the show, and this could be the opportunity for them. Now, this house is not on the MLS, so you're not going to be able to go and search it right now. But I can get you a preview of it before it hits the MLS. And you're going to have to do that by calling Faye, or you can just reach out to me and I'll put you in touch with Faye. This is the last time you were on, you had a historic property.
I know, and I don't always have them, but...
And this is pretty cool. So going to the historic property, one question that I do have, and we'll just gloss over this real quick, but does this fit into like the Mills Act?
Oh, you bet.
It does. Okay.
Absolutely.
So not only is it an income producing property, it qualifies for the Mills Act, so it will save you a bundle on property taxes. And when we're talking income property, that just means it's going to make you more income because you're not paying a heap load of property taxes. So, Faye, this is a working bed and breakfast.
Yep.
Right in the historic zone of Old Escondido.
On a hill.
On a hill. It is a beautiful home. I'm looking at pictures of it. And can I give the address?
Yes,
Okay.
you can. As a
Okay.
matter of fact, you can even go on to bedandbreakfast.com.
Oh, okay.
And you can see all kinds of pictures
very
and all
cool.
that sort of thing.
Okay, so bedandbreakfast.com. It's 602 South Grape Street. And this home, now I know, in California especially here, we're not used to old properties. So the record keeping, it's who knows how the county, the city of Escondido kept the records. Built in 1888.
1888.
It could have been built sooner than that, but it looks brand new. I mean, looking at the pictures,
it's
and it's
beautifully restored.
beautiful home. I mean,
Yes.
this is a beautiful home. It's exactly what you expect when you are going to a bed and breakfast, actually. I mean, gourmet kitchen, and you're not going to have to cook in the kitchen because somebody's going to be serving your guests as you're reaping the income from this. But tell me a little bit about the property.
Okay. Well, first of all, it is said to have been built in 1888. It is an Italianate cottage.
I like it.
And of course, the architectural design of most of Old Escondido, you can say Old Escondido, but there are various architectural designs. And this being an Italianate, which is the elongated windows and boxed windows, those kinds of things that make it just amazing, actually, to look at. So even if you're not interested in buying it, if you want to have some more information to stay there or whatever. We were talking earlier about the attractions that are close by. And it's surprising, you think people want to go just to the beach or that sort of thing. But, Escondido is a lovely suburban area, particularly in the old Escondido part. And think about the Wild Animal Park.
Wild Animal Park's right there.
That's absolutely right. You've got a myriad of things that are close by without the stepped up pace. So you have a little more rural, leisurely feelings, the wine country aspect of Escondido.
Big
beautiful.
Wineries. Yep.
You can go to Stone Brewery.
That's right. Stone's right there.
Stone's right there.
The Center for the Arts.
The Center for the Arts. So there's a lot of things that draw. And it's amazing. It is not only an up and running bed and breakfast, but a profitable bed and breakfast.
Well, and that's what we want to hear.
That's right.
Profitable.
Because you have to remember the one beautiful part about a bed and breakfast, and the way this home particularly is designed, it has the innkeeper's quarters, so that has big, beautiful family room, an area that is private and away on the other side of the kitchen, shall we say, from the B&B aspect of it.
Okay.
Has a beautiful remodeled, very uniquely done kitchen.
Oh, the kitchen looks amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's just beautiful. And, of course, it has that beautiful antique feel about every one of the furnishings, gorgeous beds in
And the furnishings come with the home? Or can they be negotiated in the deal?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Many of the beautiful antiques will be a part of the purchase.
Okay. And let's talk about this guest house.
Okay. Guest house, too.
Because it has a guest house.
It has a guest house. It has a one-bedroom guest house, which is a part of the licensed B&B. And it has its own parking space, and it has a laundry facility. It is next to a 2-car garage, which is for the innkeeper. But
Okay.
it has its own separate parking space, its own patio. There's a beautiful spa and patio barbecue area. I mean, this is so unique. And it's... it has a serenity about it that you find in Eureka and places like that where you have to travel for miles. You need a night out? Try that.
A little B&B action.
You can,
Yeah.
and they're, they serve like the most incredible French toast, and things that you don't get in a restaurant. They're, I think it's called, now I can't think of the name of it, but she's such an incredible cook.
Well, and the beauty of it, too, is, it's not, you're not staying in a hotel. A lot of people, I remember traveling as a child, and our family went up the coast of California, and all we stayed in was bed and breakfasts.
Yeah.
That was it.
That's
and we didn't stay in
my way
hotels.
of travel as well.
Very, it's different, it's dynamic, it's that family feeling. You meet wonderful people on the way, and I was just a kid, so, but you have these conversations with people, and it's different than a hotel. It's not.
Yeah,
you're staying in a home, and
this is a beautiful home.
It's amazing. Beautiful porches, and I'm telling you, if you are looking to diversify your portfolio, there's a lot of talk right now in the stock market that it could be possibly inflated. When is the bubble coming, and when is that going to burst in the stock market? And one of the things that you have to remember is diversification is a huge part. Maybe you already have a little real estate portfolio, but do you have a real estate portfolio that has a bed and breakfast involved in it? This is right here local in Old Escondido. And Escondido, they've done a whole redevelopment plan in Escondido as well. The city council has made it a point in the last 10 years to really redevelop it. There's you go there. They have the the car shows in the summer, right?
Cruisin' Grand.
Cruisin' Grand. Very cool. That's a very cool thing.
Yes, it is.
A lot of neat new restaurants and little wine bars, and there's a gelato place that is amazing.
Isn't that to die for?
I can't think of the name of it, but amazing gelato. It's packed all the time. And this is an opportunity. I mean, people want to go to Escondido. Maybe they have family there. They want a leisurely vacation that's tucked away in a bed and breakfast. And this is your opportunity. And Faye, can I give out the price? Is that okay to do?
It sure is.
$699. That's it. And
Yep.
we're talking about, I mean, you could find a single family home to buy and live in, but can you find a bed and breakfast for $700,000? This is a business opportunity that can drive income for you for not only yourself for a long time, but something that you can pass on as well.
The beauty of that, too, is that maybe someone's never even thought about the fact that they're retired and they're getting a little bored. You can have a life.
Exactly.
And run a B&B.
That's right.
And have a beautiful home.
Yep.
What more could you ask for?
That's Faye Hines, ERA Property Movers. Faye, once again, we're out of time. The time goes by fast.
Oh,
Thank you so much. I know we will have you back on very shortly to educate our listeners on the Mr. Credit Show. If you have any questions, just reach out to askjjnow.com. If you want to get into this home to see it before it hits the market, just give Faye a call, 760-533-9974. It's your lunch hour. Mr. Credit, 1700 ESPN.
If you would like to contact Mr. Credit or access any free offers mentioned on the show, just go to mrcredit.org. That's mrcredit.org.